Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Well, it's a cold, dreary old day outside. Typical October weather probably here in the UK. So a perfect day to be indoors doing a bit of sewing. Tucked up on the sofa watching a bit of something. It's perfect weather for that. To be honest, in some ways I secretly quite like it because then there's no guilt, kind of, I should be outside enjoying the fresh air. It's okay to be indoors. So I'm still completely hooked on the Kawandi style quilting that I've been trying. Let me show you where I've got to. I think last time I had started on my second quilt and I was going to sew them both together, and that's what I've done. I've actually got the rest of my fabrics that I haven't used yet inside this one, and I'm going to leave it without handles. I'm just going to leave it so I can do this and show off that lovely colourful inside, and it just makes a really nice versatile storage bag. So it will go, I could put folded fabrics in there just to store them flat and keep the dust off them and keep them looking tidy. So I might make a few of these until I get fed up doing this. It's just, I cannot believe how quick and easy it's been to do, and I know I'm probably still not really being quite authentic with the method. One thing that occurred to me is that, let me get the fabrics out of this. So normally when they make the Kawandi quilts, they do these little triangles at each corner. And I didn't do that partly because I thought, well, I'm not really being truly authentic anyway. But in some ways, perhaps it would be a nice little nod to the method to add those triangles. And I could still add the triangles, even though it's now going to be a bag rather than a quilt. The triangles will still look quite cute. So I think I'm going to do that. I haven't worked out how they do the triangles yet. So again, if everybody's been so helpful with tips and things, if anybody can help me with that, I would appreciate it. So it kind of looks like, almost like it's just a folded piece of fabric, and they just have these little triangles at the end, but it's not all flappy like that, it's just a triangle. It's smaller than that. Oh, I don't know, I wonder how they... Yeah, I couldn't find in any of the tutorials I saw, I couldn't find anything that told you how to make the little triangles. And maybe you do it like you do the rest of the quilt. Turn the edges in on another piece, and stitch it round so you get a two-sided triangle. I don't know, and then put that on. I might do that if I can't find anything else. Nobody tells me otherwise. I think I'll probably do that. I just think it'd be nice to have a little nod to the proper Kawandi quilts, even though I've probably, I've not done it exactly right. It worked quite well using this. I just don't know what this fabric is. I know the fabric, I just don't know what it's called. Sewers watching this will recognise it. I'm trying to get it to focus. There you go. So it's got a little bit of give to it, a little bit of substance to it. It's definitely synthetic. But it makes quite a nice, very light alternative to wadding, and it certainly gives it enough body to do what I wanted this to do. So yeah, so that's that one. And then I also did another one of this. So I think when I left you in the last video, I'd done one of these and I was about to do another one. Well, I've done another one and I've stitched them together. Oh, and by the way, I did just stitch together with a little hand over stitch, because I thought, well, I've done everything else by hand. I don't want to start getting the machine out now. I'm not keen on machine sewing anyway, to be honest. So as soon as anything's sort of noisy and electric, so I just used a couple of bits of ribbon, doubled them up, stitched them together as well, made them into the handles, and this makes a nice little, I've got in here, I've got a couple of my crochet books in there. I could put crochet book or pattern and a few balls of wool and needles in there and use it as a little project bag. It would make a lovely gift bag as well. Put a few little presses in there for my friends. Yeah, so that's where I am with them right now. And I think I mentioned last time I had a bag left of tiny scraps of old shirts and things where I made a double bed size quilt, and I had these left. Some of them are very, very tiny. I noticed that Mary posted a picture of the Kawandi quilt she'd started on the Arty Annie Facebook page, if you want to have a look. It's gorgeous. It's all these different shades and patterns of green with little pops of magenta. I just love that. I love that combination. And I think she'd use much smaller looking pieces than I've got here, so I'm thinking I could do these. I could use these. So some of these are so precious. They've got great memories attached to them. And I noticed also Mary hadn't cut them to straight-sided shapes. She'd just left like, which of course I thought, oh yeah, of course you don't, there's no need to, because you're going to overlap it with the next piece. So I think I'm going to try another one now with these. It might end up being a gift bag for my son or something, because he will definitely recognise a lot of the shirts. And I think I'm going to try the smaller pieces, and I'm also going to try the idea that I had of normally where you're turning each piece, you're turning the edges of each piece in. I want to try not turning them in, just overlapping them but leaving the edges raw and possibly even a bit frayed out, because I just think I might quite like the look of that. And I might also incorporate some of my old treasure buttons on there as well, just for a bit of interest. So that's going to be another one I'm going to sit and do in the evenings. I just can't stop with this, seriously. And then the other thing I wanted to do, now I haven't got one here to show you at the moment because I've given them away, the ones that I made, but you know those little square container pot but made of fabric? I've drawn myself out kind of a pattern. So you start with you cut 2 squares, and then you cut squares out of the bottom 2 corners, and you sew here and you sew here, and then you open it out and sew these together. I can't explain it, I'll have to show you, but chances are you'll probably know what I mean anyway. So normally what you do is cut this shape. Basically it's a square with 2 squares cut out of the bottom. You cut 2 of your main fabric, 2 of a contrasting fabric, and 2 of iron-on interfacing. You apply the interfacing to the main fabric, and then you stitch here, put the 2 pieces together, stitch here and here, and then you open it out and you stitch across these corners. You've probably seen them, but I'll kind of show you. In a minute. Now I think, rather than using the contrast and the interfacing, I can use a quilted piece. So what I've worked out is this will be my main piece of backing fabric that I'll cut. Then I'll cut a piece of wadding slightly smaller. I will need to do it twice so that I can put the 2 pieces together. So I need to cut 2 pieces of my backing fabric and 2 pieces of my interfacing, and then I can start quilting. So I'm going to cut them a minute now, and then I can kind of pin them together and show you what I mean about how this goes together. Probably if you're sewers, you'll have made these anyway. Okay, I cut my pieces. Looks like a weird kind of nappy or something at the moment. So I've cut 2 pieces of the main backing fabric and 2 pieces of this kind of interlining that I'm using in place of wadding. I started off with 30 centimetre square for this and a 26 centimetre square for this. This is going to make quite a small little pot, but I'm just experimenting at this point. I might make a bigger one if it goes well, but this will be ideal for like standing on my table and putting my crochet hooks in, or pencils or whatever. Yeah, and again, might be quite a nice thing to put a gift in too. So we'll see how it goes. So I started off, 30 centimetre square for that fabric and 26 centimetre square for this fabric, 2 pieces of each. Then I cut 8 centimetre square out of the bottom 2 corners of each piece. I cut one and measured it, and then just used it as a template for the others and just kept moving it over. So then what I will end up doing is cutting in like this. I'll probably have to trim this down a bit now, just a bit, so that because the first thing I will do is, just like with the original quilt, is turn under all the way around, turn an edge under and finger press it, then do my first layer around of all my little pieces, then put my wadding substitute in there. And I think now I've have I cut this too small. It might be that we'll have to trim this in a bit, just to, because you have to then fit it in under the pieces, don't you? But anyway, I can sort that as I go. So I will end up with 2 pieces of quilted fabric. I'll just pin these together quickly and I can show you what I mean in case you haven't seen these fabric baskets. They're so, I mean, if you do them with a machine, that you can literally do them in 15 minutes. If you know, once you get used to doing them, if you even if you count cutting out the fabric and ironing on the interfacing, you could do it in half an hour, I'm sure. And I'm not a quick worker. I don't know if this will be enough to be able to. So once you've got your pieces ready, so you'd have the main fabric with the interfacing ironed on it, and then you'd have the lining fabric as well, and you would do that separate. Then you put the 2 main fabric pieces right sides together, you stitch them here, you stitch them there, and then you open it out and stitch across there. So once you've got your seams done here and your seams done here, and you press the seams open, but I won't have seams like that, I'll probably just overstitch them the same as I did with my other bags in this case. And then you open them out and you match up all the seams here and you seam it along there like that, and along there like that. So this becomes your base of your basket, and you end up with a basket with a lovely colourful lining which you can fold over like this and have a nice contrasting cuff, and it just sits there like that, like a little pot. It's going to be quite a nice size actually. So you can see that how it, depending on how big you make the squares here, how much you leave here, this is what becomes the base in effect. Hopefully that's all making sense. So oops, I'm going to start now. This will be my next pieces I'm going to quilt. As I say, I think I may need to just trim this down a little bit more just to be able to slot it. And once I've got my first round of pieces put on and I have to slot my wadding in, I may have to just trim it down very slightly around the edges just to be able to fit it in. I'm definitely finding I'm ending up with it all kind of working towards the middle and kind of poofing up in the middle. But Mary was telling me that apparently that's quite traditional with Kawandi, so I feel better about that. Thank you, Mary. Okay, so oops, that is my the next step in my Kawandi adventure. I just can't get over how much I'm enjoying this and how kind of easy and instinctive it feels. Definitely made a difference once I realised you're meant to go around in the spiral and work in towards the middle. Thanks again, Mary, for that. If anybody's got any tips about how you do the triangles on the corners, I think I would quite like to do them. Just as I say, as a little nod to the proper Kawandi quilts. So that's it from me today. Just a little reminder, I'm saying this on every video I'm uploading at the moment because it's just over a week away, is the Arty Farty Party coming up. So that is on Saturday the 5th of November, 2 PM to 4 PM UK time. You're all invited, please join me if you can. So I'll be giving away lots of goodies, and we've got guests on, and it should be a lot of fun. If you haven't already entered the draw for the Scorer box, you can do so by commenting "Pick Me" on the relevant Facebook posts and Instagram posts. I will leave links below. I think that's all I need to say for now. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you again really soon.